half, Kurt Warner stepping up and making the big throw. These guys all came to play. We knew that it was going to be competitive. Now, where do they go with the football? It's got to be in the end zone.
From the 10, probably the final play of the game in regulation. It is caught by Dyson. Can he get in? No, he cannot. Mike Jones made the tackle.
The 6'4" Randy Moss would have caught that. And stretched out and got it.
But stretch his hand, him or Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, how good was Steve McNair, man? I always put him in the family. Kurt Warner, I mean, hell of a story. Just everybody, I mean, let's be honest. Everybody's like, who the hell is Kurt Warner? You know what I'm saying? I mean, remember that?
I know I did.
Before he can get to the goal line. And that's why you're
brings back so many memories of Tony Horn. Remember, they had remember special teams, he was returning. They had everything was right for the Rams that year, man. Everything went right. I mean, other than the quarterback going down, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, everything else was perfect. They didn't have a hella defense. They was opportunistic as hell. You know what I'm saying? They the greatest show on turf. Obviously, they had Marshall Faulk. They had the incredible. But they were just opportunistic. Yeah. They would always every week. I remember fantasy football. Everybody was trying to get the Rams defense, and they would return a fumble return. They would have a kickoff return. They would have a pick six. It's just something every week with that team. That brought back a lot of memories, man.
Yeah, that defense in that NFC Championship game against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they played at lights out.
Mm-hmm. They did for that one. You're right.
Sean King was the starting quarterback for the Bucs at that point. Yeah. If memory serves me correct.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Was it?
So, what does it take to win long term in the NFL? I think we already discussed it. Generally, overall, I think there's a united consensus that you have to have quarterback play. I don't necessarily believe you have to have elite quarterback play or have an elite quarterback. You need a quarterback who can perform elite in certain situations. We talked about the 2008 Giants. That team had a pass rush, and whether we believe Eli Manning is elite or not, or whether we believe he was a Hall of Fame quarterback or not, Eli performed elite in both of those Super Bowl runs. We can go back to the Ravens. When the Ravens won it, Joe Flacco was scorching hot in that playoff run. But no one's going to confuse Joe Flacco, or at least in my opinion, Eli Manning with the best of the best. Even though he won 2 Super Bowls, I still think the jury is out on how good or how great Eli really was as far as the overall meat and potatoes of what his career turned out. So, Fidel Barraza, one of my compadres from East West Football Network. You see that banner in the back of him, banner in the back of me. Romello Scuggs. This is my boxing man, so he knows his football just the way he knows his boxing from Undisputed Spit. Check that podcast out. And also Ashanti Beasley from V for the Win. Fellas, aside from the quarterback play and rushing the passer, what else does it genuinely take to win and win long term in the NFL?
I would say good coach, leadership. And I know you said besides the quarterback, but that's a vital piece to the puzzle is the quarterback play. I mean, we're just talking about before we came on air. What happened to the Bengals? Not this past season, the year before that when Joe Burrow tore his ACL. Team didn't play well. What happened last year? They almost won the Super Bowl. They shocked a lot of teams on the road, including the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I mean, good leadership. But you need a good quarterback, man. If you don't have a good quarterback play, it's very, very difficult to get away with that.
Romello.
He kind of took my train of thought on that one with the coach. I say good on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. Because offensive line obviously protects your quarterback, and quarterback play is the biggest investment on a football team. So like you saying. But I gotta agree and disagree a little bit. I mean, yeah, it helps to have elite quarterback play, but if you are like a really good game manager that don't just know how to run a system and a correct system, I think you can win with a good, very good game manager at that. But elite quarterback does help. It does.
For sure.
Shanti, what you think?
You know what? Like I said, y'all hit the nail right on the head. The coach is number one. Fidel hit it right on the head. But I would go a step further and say the GM. I know it's cliche. I know. Look at John Lynch in San Francisco. I mean, you got to be able to have a feel for your team, and you got to have a feel for when to pull the trigger. This guy might be a problem. This guy might be all kind of off the field issues. You know, and I know it sounds crazy, but you got to know to when to get the talent, man. You know what I'm saying? And stop, thinking that, I don't want to choose this guy. This guy got some baggage. You got to have a feel for it, man. And that is the fine line between a good team, a great team, and a championship team, in my opinion. The GM is totally the guy who's pulling our strings. You know what I'm saying? We see it here in Detroit, with Brad Holmes. You know what I mean? So far, so good. You know what I'm saying? Let's see him in year 2. Let's see if he got a feel for this team now. Is it time to pull a trigger to get this guy that, like a Kayvon Thibodeau, we talked about before, Walt, you know what I'm saying? A guy who don't seem like a Detroit kind of guy, but man, if you can get 5 years out of this guy, man, at a high level, playing for a contract, a second contract or whatever, maybe that's the catapult we need as a franchise. So to answer your question, the GM you got to hire the right coach. You got to trust the coach is going to hire the right coaching staff, and then you got to build your team accordingly, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to pull the trigger. How many times we've been in the draft, Walt, as Lions, scared to pull the trigger on the guy, don't want to draft because he ain't the safest pick in this draft. And I bet y'all all agree with me is Aiden Hutchinson. You know what I'm saying? And
probably
you're not gonna win. I mean, yeah, he's a good player. I'm not saying that, but is he good enough to actually catapult you to the next level? Maybe he's just a piece of the puzzle. I mean, but those teams like the 99 Rams, like that Tennessee team, you got to have a feel for what your team needs, and you build accordingly, man. So the GM, if you ask me, I would say the GM.
Well, let's go back to the game in the opening credits, Tennessee and LA. If we go back to that game, and this is going to go back to the character issues, because prior to that season, the Tennessee Titans passed on Randy Moss. And they passed on Randy because stated he wasn't a culture fit. And he wasn't a scheme fit. Now, you can make a strong argument that if they would have given Steve McNair Randy Moss instead of Kevin Dyson, that Super Bowl run could have been different. They genuinely may have beaten the Rams if you swap Kevin Dyson out for Randy Moss. And Kevin Dyson, he had a decent NFL career, it was short, but he was nowhere near what Randy Moss turned out to be. And I just found it funny that he wasn't a culture fit when he was coming out of school, but while he was in the league, he had his off-the-field issues, and Tennessee still found a way to bring him to Tennessee later on in his career.
Eventually, yeah.
Exactly. So this bullshit about character, like not with you guys, but this idea that we can never bring a guy in that's this, that. The thing is this, you have to take into account, in my opinion, what the guy's issues were. Now, if you look at Randy going back to high school where his issues started, Randy beat a few dudes up for it was some racial issues going on, and one of his friends, who was a white young man, was getting picked on and was getting harassed because he was hanging with Randy, and there was some other issues going on. He had that issue.
Was that with Jason Williams, though? Was that with Jason Williams?
No, not Williams. I'm talking. No. Was it Williams? I thought it was a different dude.
Was it Jason Williams, the basketball player?
I knew that was White Chocolate. Yeah, I knew that was his boy, but the issue I'm talking about, I think, happened with another dude.
Oh.
Randy was cool with another dude when he was in high school when that situation happened. But, Randy had the issue. He could have had that full ride to Florida State. That didn't work out. He ended up at West Virginia, balled out, fell in the draft because of character issues. Then he just dropped in the league like a bomb. So I think
he went to Marshall.
He went to Marshall, yeah.
So
West Virginia.
Yeah. My bad. He's from West Virginia.
From West Virginia.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about that documentary that they did. I believe it was on ESPN about his childhood and whatnot when he went through and his issues and whatnot. But again, look, kind of just being devil's advocate at that point when they were saying like, hey, this guy has got some major red flags. I mean, you got to think about it. If the pick doesn't pan out and you have a bad season, that could be your job on the line. So, I mean, essentially, he wasn't the safe pick to do. He might have been the right pick, but it wasn't the safe pick. So that's where I kind of lean towards what Tennessee did.
Well, wasn't that also like post Lawrence Phillips?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the Lawrence Phillips issues left a real bad taste in a lot of teams around the league too. Mm-hmm. So I could understand it. I didn't think Randy was this guy they made him out to be. I thought he was a little immature. He was a little goofy when he was around the age, but I didn't think he was necessarily what he turned out to be. Now, is that a guarantee if Randy would have went somewhere other than Minnesota where he didn't have Dennis Green and he didn't have Robert Smith and he didn't have Chris Carter and Jake Reed and all those guys, would it have been different? Who's to say what Randy's career would have been if we would have had the guts to take him instead of Minnesota? So I think, but the Vikings never won either. Now we can dig deep into why that team in particular never won anything, but circumstance they could have beaten the Atlanta Falcons.
They choked that year.
Right?
They choked that year.
They lost to the Falcons. Yep, Jamal Adams. I knew that game.
Chris Chandler was the starting quarterback for the
my God, yeah.
But Chandler played good football that season. He actually played good football on that Super Bowl run.
But Minnesota missed the kick at the end. Correct.
Morton Anderson didn't miss a kick all season.
He missed it at the end.
Yeah, that's typical Vikings. Squanders. You know what I'm saying? We done seen that a lot here.
Yeah. Did they have the best record of the year? 15-1.
It was 15-1.
Yeah, 15-1.
I remember vividly that team, man. Because I love Chris Carter at the time, and I like Randy Moss, but Chris Carter was my guy, man, with the Vikings. I remember I was heartbroken when they lost to Dirty Birds.
Man, Randy Moss just had an incredible year, though.
Right. So when we look at that situation, how key is circumstance? I mean, they very well could have won that game, and the perception of everybody in that Minnesota organization could have been different. But who's to say they would have went on to beat Denver? I'm not sure if they would have beat Denver.
They would have given a better game. I think.
They would have given Denver a better game, I believe.
Exactly. I think the next closest. I mean, we look at the Patriots, and I think that everybody think that who's going to be the next Patriots. I don't think it's going to happen, bro. I just think the way the new NFL structure contracts and the way the coaches are there 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? That's just one in a life. You know what I'm saying? Just lifetime. What they done is just over and beyond, dude. It's unreal with that team. So now, I look at John Lynch. I think that they're the closest out. I can't say that. They haven't even won nothing. I can't say that with them. They ain't won division. I'm just saying acquiring talent.
I get what you're saying because they're still good. I think we have. The word dynasty typically is applied to when you win and win maybe 2 in a good 6-year, 7-year span or whatever. But I think there's still a lot to be said for organizations who are just good. I mean, take the Steelers, for example. That's 2 Super Bowl wins that they have in the past 40-something years?
Yeah. But let me ask you guys this.
But they're still good.
Remember the Philadelphia Eagles in the early 2000s. They made 3 straight NFC championship games, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Does anybody remember them? Honestly, I mean, they remember
we do
losing the pitch in the Super Bowl. I know, but the average fan say, Donovan McNabb, you know who that is? Yeah, I think he played for the Redskins. Well, no, he actually played for the Eagles first, and he was pretty damn good coming out of Syracuse. So I mean, it's difficult, and the credit goes to Andy Reid for keeping everything together. But again, I mean, we're talking 22, 23 years ago. It was a whole different world back then. I mean, think about it. Free agency, salary caps, just things were different. It's not meant for people to continue winning the way that it is nowadays. I mean, not saying it's not possible, but I mean, it's difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very difficult. Very.
So, you know, I would think the ability to apply pressure offensively is huge too. You know, like I said, we spoke about Bill Walsh and the San Francisco 49ers before we went on, Jimmy Johnson and those early Dallas Cowboys. You can take the Patriots kind of out of the equation except for that 08 Patriots team. Most of those Patriots teams were like offensively middle of the road teams. Like they were really gutty, gritty teams.
Yeah.
But the Patriots are different because you have to have everybody to buy in to be really, really damn good for 20 years, 18 years, 17 years. The GMs upstairs, the ownership has to know their role. They have to hire the right GM. GM has to hire the right coach, right assistant coaches. You got to get the right quarterback in there. And I think more than anything else, you have to have the perfect storm. You know, everyone wants to give Tom Brady all of the credit for New England or Bill Belichick all of the credit for New England. We can go back through 17 years and pinpoint game after game after game where either Ty Law saved their ass, Adam Vinatieri saved their ass, Ashanti Samuel saved it. Like we had Richard Seymour,
Lawyer Malloy. Remember Lawyer Malloy?
Rasheed Caldwell. I mean, I know they didn't win the Super Bowl that year, but
yes, Troy Brown, like on a punt return, like
Troy Brown. Oh my God, yep.
So what year was that? 14 Super Bowl where Malcolm Butler had the interception, the touchdown, inside the touchdown, whatever for the.
Yeah. So I mean, you have to have the perfect storm. There were plenty of games throughout Brady's career in New England where he was, Charles. We don't. Hey, listen, Fidel. We don't discuss those 15 to 28 games for one touchdown and one interception.
I peeped what he did with the Charles Wilson thing. I peeped that.
Yeah. I still remember this.
I thought I'm gonna tell y'all the most impressive one I thought that they won was when they beat the Falcons, man. I remember watching that game. And Brady came back. What, he scored 26 unanswered or something crazy like that. And it's just like when you got that winning, whatever you call it, man, a force field over your team. It just seemed like a perfect storm. Wall, I think it's perfect what you just said.
Can I ask this? Okay. Can I ask this? Was the Patriots win against the Falcons by luck, or did the Falcons just blew it?
No, I don't. I think New England took it.
Yeah, they blew it. That's my opinion. Because I agree.
No, they definitely blew the game, but New England also played a role in snatching it from them too.
But let's think about it. What actual team would it be like? All right, we can still beat this team. It takes a special kind of team to actually think, hey, we're down 20-3 and we can come back and win this game. A lot of teams are not like that. A lot of teams, they would have, all right, cool, we made it to the Super Bowl, we're not going to win the game.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then remember I mentioned that, like, and that's the mentality the Giants had. You know what I'm saying? Remember when the Giants, beat the undefeated Patriots? You know what I'm saying? They beat them, played them hard the week before the playoffs, and like Romello pointed out, they gave them confidence when they met again. Like, you got to be special, man, to say I don't give a damn. We not losing. Like. The Kansas City Buffalo game, I felt, and I'm a Mahomes guy, but I felt so bad for Josh Allen, man.
He got saved by Tyreek Hill. He's gonna have issues next year. He's gonna have that guy.
Right. Yeah. But my point was Josh Allen got that mentality. Like, I don't give a damn. I'm the guy. I don't care who you are on the other side. I'm the guy. Make no mistake about it. And he. For whatever reason, I ain't making excuses for the overtime rule, nothing like that. But I just felt that, man, Buffalo could have did some special things this year, man. That was my team going into it. You know what I mean?
It really was.
Me too. I think honestly, too.
Yeah, but just talking about that situation, I mean, look, Tyreek Hill's not there. I know we're not talking about that right now, but I want to bring that up because if he's not in the game, if he's not a Chief, Kansas City doesn't win the game. It's over.
Yes.
Just a comment. I was about to say the same exact thing because that brings me to my next point. Playmakers. Like, you have to have guys who can make plays. You have to.
100%.
Tyreek took that that short dig. He took that short dig,
all
70
the way.
yards? Yes. Like,
all the way.
You have to have playmakers. Look at the Rams. As much as I may beat up on Stafford from time to time, Stafford's a playmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's easy when you have players like Cooper Kupp.
He is.
Yeah.
And I had this discussion with someone the other day. What do you think the major difference is between Matthew Stafford and Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh, I mean, when Jimmy plays it safe, and I just don't like his reads sometimes. I feel like he panics too much.
Right.
So, and he likes to look at his first read, and it takes a little bit too much time to look off that first read. So by that time that happens, defense sees it, throws the ball, interception, because they already know what he's going to do.
Well, even aside from that,
I think Stafford. Well, we have seen it a lot. Well, with Stafford, I think Stafford is he was successful last year because he a risk taker. You know what I'm saying? How many times he'll throw the ball in the triple coverage? You know what I'm saying? And I won't say 9 times out of 10, 50-50. You know, we had Calvin Johnson. It was a different story. 9 times out of 10, Calvin Johnson gonna come up with the ball, but what makes separate those two, I think that Matt Stafford is more of a risk taker, and it paid like when you got Cooper Kupp. You got guys around that can make plays. It makes it a little bit easier, but you know he's willing to take the risk. You know.
Yeah, but and also Matthew has the ability to be elite.
And
now we may not feel Matthew is elite week in, week out.
They always take the risk, man.
Yeah, but Matt has the physical talent that Garoppolo also doesn't have, and he has the mentality. And I think with guys like not Jimmy Garoppolo, but with guys like Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, you got to take the good with the bad, or the great with the bad. Because guys like that are guys I believe you win big with. Now, you look at Garoppolo. Garoppolo is what he is. The 49ers know that. They know that there's a ceiling on what Jimmy Garoppolo is.
You got limitations.
Yeah. Look at Matthew Stafford, that final drive of the game in the Super Bowl. Matthew had his ups and downs that game. Matt got hot, and Matt went down there, and he took that damn game from Cincinnati on that last drive.
And then let's think about it. OBJ gets hurt. I believe it was in the first half towards ACL.
Yeah.
Tyler Higbee, he didn't play that game. The backup tight end gets hurt. I mean, there's just a bunch of different shit going on during the game. Right. And I'm like, man, but it's going to be really tough for them to win this game. And he was able to pull it off.
Circumstances, because the Bengals still had a chance. If the offensive line would have held up a second longer and Burrow would have been able to chase down that sideline, narrative is completely different on Matthew Stafford and the Rams.
OBJ did get hurt, but let's not act like they don't have Cooper Kupp, like one of the best receivers in the league.
But what I'm saying is, though, the way the game was trending, he was going to be the MVP of the game if they won.
Absolutely.
OBJ, he was having a game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you too. And then I think Cincinnati picked Stafford off. I mean, we seen the game. I said, here we go. This is the bad Stafford. You know,
and then the rest missed the helmet deal. I believe Ramsey was he on Higgins?
Yeah.
It was T. Higgins, right?
Yeah.
And that's for the touchdown.
Yeah.
And they just blew that call. I mean, that was really horrible. That was a horrible call.
Yeah. But now we talking about success. Let me ask a question. Y'all buying into the Packers tradition? Are the Packers a great successful franchise?
They're a great regular season team. They're a great regular season team. But guess what?
Thank you.
Shove in the playoffs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything, especially with their gritty quarterback they got now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It is what it is. He's really good at one.
You mean prima donna quarterback? That guy.
No.
Why does Tom keep winning? Why has he got 7 rings?
Mm-hmm. Right, and I just thought it's interesting because it's a perception out there. Like the Packers is just, I mean, trust me, they won far more playoff games than a lot. I'm not trying to say that at all. I ain't trying to put them on blast like that. What I'm getting at is, I mean, I remember them coming up short in the playoffs, man. The last 5, 6, 7 times they've been in the playoffs.
I mean, you were
please put them on blast.
Even before Aaron was starting quarterback
Please
there.
put them on blast. I can't stand Green Bay. Please put them on blast.
But here's the other thing too that's helped out Green Bay's success. The division hasn't been the best in football. Let's just be honest. I mean, the Vikings have been good on and off. Chicago, yes and no. But, I mean, they've had an easy way to win the division, host a playoff game, and lose in the divisional round or lose in the conference championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because they've had the best quarterback in the conference for it. Well, I mean, you can argue whether he's better than Breeze, whether you prefer Drew Brees over him or not. Personally, I think he's better than Breeze. But, I mean, when you have the best
team, who would you allow to be your quarterback? If you had to pick, between Breeze and Rodgers, who would you pick?
Aaron.
In their prime?
Not off the talent, though. You're taking into consideration him being a leader. Yeah, being a good quarterback, of course, but also someone that's going to get along with his teammates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
I'm gonna shock you. I'm gonna say Breeze.
I'm taking Drew.
I'm gonna say Breeze.
Every day of the week.
I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers, man. I think Aaron Rodgers got a little bit more cachet than Drew Brees to me. I love Drew Brees. I'm a Drew Brees guy. I was happy to see him win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? But that's hard as hell. That's hard. But if I had to just choose, like right now, I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying?
I say Breeze.
Yeah, because I mean, you still want a guy who can perform in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say that Breeze didn't.
I'm gonna say Breeze on one thing. He get along with his coach.
True.
Yes,
that's true.
Well,
him and Sean Payton was a great marriage.
Not just that. I just think he's a better teammate.
That's a good point, Romello.
I just think he's a better teammate.
Yeah, I agree with that too. You know what I'm saying? And I think, like, I remember watching games, Packers. Reggie White was playing, and they was playing at home. Remember they beat Carolina in the championship game. I remember them beating Seattle. Yeah. And it's like, they've had some wins, but I mean, are they got it just as good as history as the Steelers? I think you would put the Steelers above the Packers. You know what I mean? As far as tradition go, as far as you know what I'm saying? Mike Tom, that they've had numerous coaches, you know what I mean, in Green Bay. Not new, but a couple, 3-4 different coaches that Aaron Rodgers vouched for, you know what I'm saying, that he couldn't get along with or whatever the case may be. So I look at from coach's standpoint, from just playoff appearances to actually winning the thing. I think we've been spoiled with the Patriots, man. I think, going to the Super Bowl, that means, Tom Brady got 7. Dude, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Are we ever going to see that again? I don't know.
The guy's played in how many Super Bowls? He's played 9 Super Bowls?
Crazy.
That brings up a valid point. Go ahead.
Can I ask our football guys this? What makes Packers a story franchise? I mean, think about this for a second. They won the first 2 Super Bowls, right? Then they ain't go again to 30 years later with Brett Favre. Yeah. And then they go 15 more years with Aaron Rodgers in 2010. Right. And they ain't been since. So what makes them a story franchise? I mean,
nostalgia.
That and then being good during the regular season.
Vince Lombardi.
Yeah.
There's some names.
Mike Holmgren being the coach there. And I think the coaching tree that he had, I think that's one of the things too.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, but you consistent in the regular season, but is that the ceiling? Just being consistent in the regular season? Don't you gotta win to be this discussion right now as a dynasty team?
Well, I mean, that just makes me question how good Green Bay really ever was.
Right. That was my point to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, the day Aaron Rodgers laces them up, I think, who knows how good Jordan Love is. God forbid that
not good.
God forbid. when he finally walks out the door, dude, I think they're gonna have some lean years unless it's very rare that they'll hit twice on the quarterback, two times back to back like that. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope they enjoy it. I hope they make it to Super Bowl because the day he leaves, I think everything gonna change.
They just gotten worse. They haven't gotten any better. So I don't see them making a Super Bowl while Aaron is still there with the roster the way it is. And And what? Let's be realistic. How many more years does he have? 3, 4?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Teams are going to get better. Teams are going to
But
get better.
you know what?
He's going to
You
get
guys
older.
brought up a valid point about the divisions. And we had got my mind kind of jogging because it made me think about all the historically great teams. How bad were their divisions also? So I don't know how much of the greatness we can put on Pittsburgh, considering the fact that the Browns and the Bengals were awful for so long. So long. Now once the Ravens, the Browns moved to Baltimore and they became the Ravens and they began to become a serious thorn in the Steelers side every season. But I think there's a lot to be said when you only have one team in your damn division to worry about year in, year out. Even if you look at New England, the Jets were never shit. Well, they had their run. They had their run. I'm gonna say that they had their run when one of my favorite coaches in the NFL took over there. But with Rex. But aside from that, the Bills post Jim Kelly, they struggled for a very long time.
They tried to make it work with Drew Bledsoe. They tried.
Yeah, they tried to make it work with a lot of dudes, and it just never worked.
Trent Edwards,
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I forgot about them guys.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, even the 49ers, like the early 49ers, that division wasn't good at all.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a little bit of everything.
I will say this though about the Steelers. So they won a Super Bowl back in 2005, 2006, right?
Yeah.
That was
Or was it 12? You talking about when they beat Arizona?
Yep. All right. So they won that one. So that was what in 2003.
They beat Seattle in 2004.
It was 2009.
2000. Okay.
No.
Well, point being is at least they've won a couple of Super Bowls, and Green Bay they've only won one, and they've only gone to one.
Right. That was my point.
But Green Bay did beat him, though. Green Bay did beat him. I would say that, but yeah.
Now who's
they did.
Now who you think who's on the cusp of becoming a dynasty now, modern day? Is it can we say the Chiefs right now? The last 4 or 5
I don't think so because I don't think Reed's gonna be there long enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something, and it might not be the most popular opinion out there because they're gonna say, "Well, you're biased because you're a Raiders fan." No, that's bullshit. I'm a football fan, and this is what I think. I think Patrick's gonna regress next year just because he is not gonna have Tyreek Hill, and that was a very important part of the offense. You took away the attention from Travis Kelce, and you don't have that anymore.
But they need him to be. They need him to be elite for an entire season. Now, remember how poorly and how up and down Patrick performed with the first half of this past season, and that went back to his playoff performances, and that went back to like week 13, I think.
That throw he made in overtime, was that necessary to do that
against Cincinnati? No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't.
And then think about the game management towards the end of the game or before the end of the first half. You had time to kick a field goal. No, you want to get greedy. You get stuffed at the one by Eli Apple.
But that goes back to the importance of playmakers. Like with no Tyreek Hill there now they need Patrick to be more consistent, more tame, and he can't really take those risks like that anymore. Well, listen, we don't know who they're going to get wide receiver wise between now and the start of the season.
But let's be honest. I mean, I don't think they're going to be as good as Tyreek Hill the first year.
They're
going to struggle.
I agree.
And the AFC West is stacked.
Yo, it takes a couple years, man, for a receiver. Like I said, we mentioned that Randy Moss season. That's 1 in a million, dude. What Randy Moss did. I take that back. We seen Jamar Chase ball out. He
was balling out.
And Justin Jefferson too.
Yeah, Just Jefferson too. Love Just Jefferson.
Good. Yeah, he's solid.
Yo, that's my guy.
I'll take Jefferson over Chase.
I don't know about that, but
that's a debate right there. That's a debate right there.
That's a hell of a debate right there.
I think they two different types of wide receivers, though.
Man,
I think it's come down to what you prefer.
Hey, man, Jefferson's a dog. Not saying Chase isn't. He's just different.
Yeah, yo. But I see, because every week I would come on, I would do my little pick segment, and I would always be like, "This the week the Chiefs gonna come out of. This the week the Chiefs." They've earned so much respect picking them every week by them winning all these games, scoring all these points, running up the score. Now it just seemed like that time like you said, Fidel, I think that their time might be past. I do. I think that they would degrade. So you can't really say they're a dynasty. It's hard to try to pick somebody. What you gonna pick somebody that hasn't won? Like, okay, look at the Chargers. I was big on the Chargers last year.
Mm.
Chargers ain't won nothing. They ain't won squat. You know what I'm saying? They finally got a quarterback. You know,
if they would have had a different coach, they would have won. But unfortunately, they got Brandon Staley. So
right. I mean, even the years they had LaDainian Tomlinson, what they had Breeze 1 year. I mean,
well, think about how good they were in the 2006 season when they hosted the playoff. The top team in the AFC, New England comes in and they beat them. Rashid Caldwell, I believe, caught the. Or who was it? Yeah, it was Rashid Caldwell that caught the touchdown at the end. Or was it Gaffney? It was one of those, and but still,
it was Gaffney. Yeah, it was Gaffney.
They had a solid team. Sean Marion was on fire. I believe that was the last year Martin Schottenheimer coached the team, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, wasn't that the team that lost to the Jets in the wild card round?
No, that was the year before that, I believe, or it might have been the year after. You're right, the year after. I'm talking about the 2006 team when Tom didn't have anybody to throw to, and they ended up losing to the Colts in the AFC Championship game in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I just think.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that when it comes down, everything always comes back to the quarterback play. Now does it help to have that guy under center that whether things are going great around him or whether things aren't going great around him, he's still going to give us a chance every single Sunday night or Sunday afternoon at 1:00 or every Monday night to give us an opportunity to win? Hell yeah, it keeps you in the mix. It keeps you in that cycle year in, year out. But does it take, I think, in order for anybody can win. This is what I think makes the Detroit Lions situation so baffling. Anybody can put it together and have a perfect storm for one damn season. And the Lions haven't even been able to put it together and just have that perfect storm for one season. I think you can win with an average quarterback for 1 year. You can catch, I don't think it's that hard to catch anybody or catch the NFL off guard and just do something elite for one season, whether you're a team that's just ridiculously elite defensively like that Ravens team was from 2001, or you're an elite offensive team like the 99 Rams were. As long as you do something way better than everybody else, you can sneak a Super Bowl win out.
I agree with that.
Now, when you come back the next season and everybody got a book that's thick on your ass about what you can't do and what you can do, now can you make the proper adjustments? I think the teams that win year in, year out, constantly in the mix for 10 years, 15 years, those are the teams that make proper adjustments. And they're not stubborn upstairs. The people upstairs can't be stubborn either. And they have to know when to make those adjustments.
Yeah, you're right. And, just thinking about, I'm just thinking about like the last 2 years that have been like pretty consistent. I think another team that we could possibly talk about being a dynasty would have been the Seattle Seahawks. Think about it. They had one of the best defenses in football.
One call.
One call, man.
The call, the throw, the interception.
But let's be honest here. If they won that game, we don't know what happens here after that, right? I mean, perception's a lot different going in. They beat the crap out of the Broncos. Was it the year before? Yeah, it was the year before that. Yeah. So, I mean, just think about it. One season can make or break you. I mean, essentially, they kind of started breaking off the team after that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Personally, I can't see another dynasty. I think this 17-game season is going to pretty much shut down any ideas we have of dynasty. It's too hard, man. It's too hard to go through a 17-game season. Then it doesn't even matter whether you get that top seed or not. The top seed is kind of like a death sentence for teams lately.
Well, like not really. Well, because you get rest and you get to play at home. I mean,
but they still lose
that weekend.
A lot of these teams are still losing.
But depending on the team. So let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. They knew what the Niners were going to do. Garoppolo's a game manager. He had a bum shoulder. He had a hurt thumb. They just weren't able to capitalize. The first drive that they had, they scored a touchdown. What happened after that? Aaron kept on trying to go back to Devontae. And obviously the Niners, they knew what they were doing. And that's why they lost the game because of special teams. The special teams unit was horrible all year long. And that cost them the game.
Yep. And then they just knew.
Like, how much do we really think And I understand we all can admit Aaron Rodgers is one of probably, if not the most talented, physically talented quarterback we've seen. He's right up there. He's on the Mount
Yeah,
Rushmore of talented quarterbacks. But have
he
we
is.
ever gotten him and his drive and his grit confused with Tom Brady's drive and grit?
Way different.
Yeah.
Way
Exactly.
different.
We don't really consider it. Like, it took me
Aaron-
years to realize that Aaron really wasn't better than Tom anymore. Even though I think Aaron is more talented, but he's not better.
Yeah.
Aaron likes to win. Tom needs to win. That's the two differences.
But that's what Coach Hugh Jackson
Ooh,
told me.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good
Like,
point.
Tom loves everything about football. Tom loves practice. Tom loves watching film. Tom
needs
loves
to
working
win.
out.
He's coming back.
needs
Hey,
to.
remember they said Tom Brady retiring. Everybody waiting for the press conference. Everybody saying when is he going? And he came back again.
Well,
so it tells
There's
you
a
how
but
much he-
there's a whole backstory to that, and I don't
Oh,
know if
yeah,
you guys
it
got
is,
time for
definitely.
that conversation because there's a lot of things that happened where he thought he was going to be a part owner of the Dolphins, and Brian Flores lawsuit happens, and everything changes pretty quick.
Okay. I buy
Tom Brady plays like he's still a 6th round draft pick right now.
it.
After all his accolades and his success, he still plays like a 6th round quarterback. Like he needs to prove himself.
Mhm.
They would have
right.
beat the Rams, but they call like a cover 0, and that's how the Rams end up kicking the game-winning field goal.
Okay.
Yeah, but they couldn't. They were struggling to stop the Rams all day.
Well, but they came back, and the Rams
Yeah.
they were
BB12.
shit. Dude. They were nervous.
But I don't think it was necessarily him. It was all, what was it, 4 fumbles in the fourth quarter? The Rams
yeah,
had?
but they were able to take
That
advantage
was
of the
like
situation.
that was the weird. That was
That
the
was
weirdest.
weird. That was a weird game. That was a weird
Okay,
first second half.
when Fournette got in the end zone, and I was like, all right, I think they're gonna win this game.
Yep, that's what I thought too.
Yeah. So
And then Matt just
But, I
went
mean-
right downfield the cup.
Yeah,
Let me
Matt
ask
is
you
the
this.
fourth quarter. We should know. Well, I live in Arizona now, but being from Detroit, we all should know that Matthew Stafford is the fourth quarter. Don't give him no time. So
Right.
And then I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see Man in the Arena. It's that Tom Brady, kind of like a documentary, kind of goes through his career. It's on ESPN Plus. Highly recommended if you guys haven't seen it. It's really great stuff. But again, Tom needs to win. He needs to win. Rodgers likes to win. Two differences.
Right.
Yeah.
but dude, why? I mean, he got 7. Why do he need to win now? I mean, should his legacy is completed?
He needs to win.
He's a
He
great.
needs to win. He
And I
needs
think
it.
the bad taste in his mouth, the way they lost last year, I think
He don't want to go out a loser.
Yeah, the way they lost, and he probably in his back of his mind said, "Dude, I lost to Matt Stafford." I mean, not saying that Stafford is bad. I'm just saying in the back of his mind, he probably saying that.
He
Like,
lost
I
to
don't
Nick
give a damn.
Foles.
Yeah, he like, I don't give a damn. Remember, Stafford was on the Lions, bro, and I lost to no way. I'm coming back. This is bullshit. I'm coming back.
Oh,
So he
man,
like,
you had to go there. You had to go there.
Hey, look, and Bruce is gone too. So essentially, all right, yeah, I want to come back and play, but Bruce is gonna have to. He's gonna have to leave. But
Wait a
I don't
minute.
want to make it seem like I'm trying to make this
Hey.
guy leave. That's why he left to the front office.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Bruce clarified it. I ain't out the building yet. I'm just upstairs. Like he made sure he
So
clarified.
he is in the front office. He is in the front office.
Front office. Yeah.
Yep, in front office. Yep.
Don't expect too much work from Bruce, Buckle Bruce, but he's there in the front office. I mean, it would have been a horrible look right before the draft. He was at the combine. He was with Jason Light there, and for him to be fired, it just wouldn't have looked good. And they would have said, "Well, Brady's a selfish player because he didn't want Bruce to coach him anymore." Well, no, they still have a good relationship. It looked professional. Tom was sitting in the front row during his retirement speech, big old smile on his face. For 2 reasons, obviously, because he probably wanted Bruce not to be the head coach anymore, and because he was happy to see him retire. And no one makes him like the bad guy.
Bruce can't be worse than Bill Belichick, though. He cannot be worse. Belichick don't even smile at all.
I think
He
Bruce is different. Bruce just gets on. I think
He'll chew your ass
I
out.
don't have an issue with Bruce. I never had an issue with Bruce. Like, Bruce reminds me of, like my high school coach. Like he reminds me of one of those coaches I could probably deal with. but everybody doesn't take to being cursed at all the time and being like Bruce can be a little bit abrasive. Like Bruce shoots straight from the hip, and everybody doesn't like that.
I think that you gotta have the respect. Like I think Mike Tomlin don't take no crap, right? But I think the players respect him enough where he won 2 Super Bowls, he can talk shit. But if you what's the guy from the Eagles? Sirianni. I'm just using him as
Nick Sirianni.
Sirianni. If he trying to cuss, look, damn that. Look at Patricia. That was a disaster, Walt. It was a disaster when he was here. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna cuss players out? Say you, and you can't play. You know what I'm saying?
You can't embrace another man. Stop sucking his. We know, but all that
you can't do that, man. You gotta. That's in any sport, I think. NBA, whatever we talking. The coach can't do that, man. You gotta have the respect to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it starts. It's hard to build that, but I think that Dan Campbell can build that. I'm just speaking of Detroit because it's the first thing come to mind. You can build that. Now, if you was to ask me, coach wise, who I could say I could see Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, I like Pete Carroll. That's why I use him. I could see Pete Carroll going somewhere else, and just say if Pete Carroll went to like, I don't know, let's say he was in with the Chargers. I could see them forming you can't even say that. It's hard. It's hard to say. I'm trying to think of a modern day dynasty we could put together.
I think it's hard, man. Look,
it's hard.
The one thing that we didn't mention throughout this entire show was health. Like health is more major than anything we mentioned.
But I take that as luck too. It's luck to stay healthy throughout the whole year. Let's be honest, it's luck.
Well, I don't think anybody's healthy for the whole year. It's about being healthy at the right moments.
At the right time.
More than anything else, you got to be healthy. You got to have that health. Especially in the 17 game. Look, we talking about if you don't get the top seed, you got to play 3 teams. In a winner-take-all situation, whether it's this Saturday or next Saturday or the following Sunday, you don't show up to play. Even if you show up to play, remember, we talked about Buffalo and Kansas City in the playoffs. Buffalo showed up to play. It just so happened they ran out of time. Mm-hmm. If we really want to be honest.
It won't happen next year. Rules change.
Right. I don't know how. If we go on my predictions, I think Buffalo's going next year. I really think that.
I do too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No weaknesses. I think Buffalo.
But let's not forget Brian Daboll is not going to be there anymore in Buffalo, and let's not. He made Josh Allen be a better quarterback, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he does next year. Not saying he's gonna do bad, but again, Brian Daboll was there last year. He was supposed to get a head coaching job last year. I forget what team it was, but he ended up staying in Buffalo 1 more year, and now he's the New York Giants head coach. And we'll see what he does with Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
You used to need to have a running game back in the day too. See how the NFL changes. I mean, now, the Rams didn't have a hell of a they didn't have a hell of a rushing team. Remember Derrick Henry got hurt. I remember they were the most run dominant team in the NFL, right? Yeah. So now it seemed like you said, well, it's almost like your offense has got to be predicated on your quarterback and the scheme, obviously, but NFL has changed so much, man, where running back is obsolete damn near. Look at Saquon Barkley. The Giants don't even know what to do with him. You know what I'm saying? Top 5 draft pick. And it's like it hasn't helped them at all. They
Yeah, and Christian McCaffrey. Didn't the Panthers paint Christian McCaffrey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They paid him to be on the sidelines all last year pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope when you're a team that's built around a running back. If you think about all the teams historically that were built around running backs that didn't have quarterbacks, most of them.
Well, I can think of one team that did win the Super Bowl, and that was the 2000 Ravens. Jamal Lewis was a running back, and he had a great year that year. If I'm not mistaken, he was on that team.
But Jamal was what a top tier back in the league though for a few years.
Yeah.
You know,
He was
but
good,
even that
man.
Ravens team, they had Jamal Lewis. Like, they were really good in every facet of the game except for quarterback play.
But again, the defense was so dominant.
True.
And I remember this defense being dominant because they beat my Raiders in the AFC Championship game. Tony Siragusa landed on Rich Gannon, messed up his shoulder, and it was a snowball effect. That happened, and they just got their asses kicked. But anywho, that team was really stacked.
Yep.
Right.
So we all agree. All of these things matter. Like, pretty much you have to have a perfect storm. You need good quarterback, pretty good quarterback play. I still think you need to be able to run the ball when you need to be able to run the ball. You got to have a competent quarter. We can make the argument today, the closest guy to the quarterback is either the quarterback coach or the offensive coordinator. So you can make the argument the OC may be the most important man in the room with the quarterback, aside from the head coach, or maybe even more important than the head coach, depending on how hands-on the head coach is for that particular team. But if you want to win for a long time, man, you got to have people buy in. The 49ers got everybody to buy in. The Cowboys in the early 90s got everybody to buy in. Bill and Kraft and all them, they were able to get Brady. They hit the lottery with Brady, and they were able to get everybody to buy in. It's hard today because when it comes to football, you got a lot of guys. You got 52 men in the locker room. You don't know who just cares about getting paid that year, who just cares about showing up and getting paid that week. You don't know. So when you can get a locker room full of your guys, your type of receivers, your type of defensive linemen, your type of whoever, and you can consistently get guys year after year to buy in, and you got to win too. You're not going to get guys to come there and play for you if you're not winning nothing. Like, guys aren't going to take pay cuts to go play somewhere where it's not fun to play at.
Well, it depends how much money you pay him. Christian Kirk.
Right.
I'm not mad at Kirk, though. Listen, Kirk.
Receiving market with that one.
I understand, but I mean,
Yes, I understand.
I get it. Go
Zay
get the bag,
Jones.
go get your money. But I mean, Arizona, Jacksonville. I mean, Arizona's not the best team in the league either, but I would say they're a little bit more stable.
Well, the Bidwells don't pay anybody. And I know for damn sure they wasn't about to pay him anywhere near what Jacksonville gave him.
Well, guess what, Walt? They're going to have to pay Kyler Murray. Or guess what? Week 1, who's your starting quarterback? Colt McCoy?
They can make it without him.
Really?
Oh, shit.
So they don't need a Kyler. They got a Colt.
Dude.
they got a Colt, boy. They don't need Kyler.
I heard the Lions was trying to get please don't take Kyler Murray.
I'm not sold on Kyler, man.
No, please don't. He's 5'7", KC over somebody. He can't see. No.
I'm taller than him.
I take Williams before I take him.
Kyler.
No.
There's this perception that he's a pocket passer, and I tell people,
You can't.
how can you be a pocket passer when a
You
good
can't see in the pocket.
23% of your dropbacks are rollouts, and you rolling out, and all these bootlegs are to get you outside the tackle box so you can see. Same thing with Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those bootlegs Russell used to run in Seattle. All of those rollouts.
Russell's really good.
But how can I know
Russ the man though?
Yeah,
I know Russell is taller, but how can he see though? He's still like 5'10", right?
Russell takes some deep drops too. Russell don't step up in the pocket a whole lot. Like Russell keep his lanes open to be able to see.
Yeah. I like that Russell. Russ going just to chime in on that. I like that move, man. That it's like that's what they needed last couple of years. They needed a quarter. Their defense was always decent. You know what I mean?
I hope he has a horrible year next year.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah, and you're a Raiders fan. Yep.
and you know what? You know what? Derek Carr making me a believer, man. I thought Derek Carr and Stafford was always in the same.
Man, DC my guy, man.
You know what I mean?
I still think they kind of. I'm not sure. I don't think Derek is as explosive as Stafford can be.
But every time you looked up, last year Derek Carr would have 285, 3 touchdowns, maybe a pick, 265, a touchdown, 2 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying?
But let's give credit where credit's due. Towards the end of the season, with the shit show that happened all year long, with the Henry Ruggs situation, John Gruden situation, just a whole just chaos happening all around him. They won the games on the road that they needed to. Very difficult game in Cleveland. I know they had most of their team on the COVID-19 list, but Cleveland's a difficult place to play, and he doesn't really typically play well in the cold. And then them going into Indianapolis, when Indianapolis they're on a roll, right? They look like one of the teams that could make it to the AFC Championship game. Going in there and winning those games, I mean, that was pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I like the Raiders. I just think that one draft 3 years ago that your boy blew, man. When we look at historically, when teams get 3 first-round picks, usually they miss on somebody. Jacobs is good. Cleveland Farrell is just you can explain better than anybody, Fidel. How do people feel about that organization as far as that draft class from 3 years ago?
It was botched, and it was more like it wasn't Mike Mayock making the selection. Right. It was John Gruden making the selection, and he would have been there in the later rounds. But for whatever reason, John, being who John is, said, "Hey, I have final say. I want to get your thoughts on the player. But essentially, if I want to draft the player, I'm going to draft him. And then if it goes bad, I'm going to blame you."
So basically, if Gruden likes somebody's last name, he'll draft him.
Well,
Peterman. Leatherwood.
So who did miss out on that draft that year?
Which year?
The year they had 3 first-round picks.
They passed on Josh Allen. Well, the defensive end, Josh Allen from Jacksonville, and he was regarded as the top DN in the draft, the top edge rusher in the class.
UCLA. Yeah.
No,
was that the year they drafted my man from Ohio State, the cornerback?
Arnett? I'm talking about. No, I'm sorry. No, that was the year before that, I believe.
Yeah, the year we talking about was the year they took Jacobs, Abram, and Cleveland Farrell.
Cleveland Farrell from Clemson, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Clemson, yeah. Ooh.
But that's what kind of like, not to get too far off topic, but that's what kind of concerns me about Georgia. When you look at that Clemson defense from that year, nobody could figure out who was the best player on that defense, and come to find out it was the nose tackle in Dexter Lawrence. Like, people thought it was Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins turned out to have a decent career so far, but not what people thought he was going to be. Cleveland Farrell went astronomically higher than what people thought he was going to be. And everyone viewed Dexter Lawrence as just the nose tackle, just the guy who was inside. And come to find out, the guy in the middle of that defense was responsible for everybody else's success. So, yeah, the Raiders, man, I think one bad draft, and I consider that draft a bad draft. You can't get 3 first-round picks and miss on 2 of them. And I consider Abram. I don't think Abram ever should have went as high as he did.
I think he should move to linebacker. He needs to gain some weight, 10 pounds, and move to linebacker. That's just my thoughts on it, because the guy can hit. And yeah, I mean, but we'll see what they do. I mean, look, I consider it a wash just because Khalil Mack's not a Bear anymore, and he had success, but he was injured a lot, and that team didn't do anything. So it's a wash, man.
Because they couldn't solve the quarterback position.
But he got division right now, though. So
yeah.
So it's the
hey, look, hey, I actually met Khalil in person. He's a really nice guy. He actually signed that for me the weekend of Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco. He's a nice guy, but I don't know. It's the division's just so tough. Like, it's really difficult. And obviously, I want my team to win. But at the same time, I'm being realistic. I mean, it's going to be really difficult for anybody to win this division.
True.
True.
Well, all right, fellas, man, I enjoyed having you guys on. I know this seems like a real weird topic to just have. Let's get on and just talk about winning. But I like talking about winning. I like getting other people's perspectives on what it takes to win. I like talking to football people's perspectives on what it genuinely takes to win. And maybe some of this will rub off on our Detroit Lions, eventually.
Please.
Good luck. I hope it does.
Well, listen, Aaron, I'm not so much worried about Aaron anymore. I'm not worried about Minnesota. I'm cocky now.
God, no.
I'm not worried about Minnesota.
Hey, man, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on that.
You damn sure ain't worried about the Bears.
I'm a ride or die.
Hey,
Don't matter.
You guys better start respecting Kirk, man. You better. You
Kirk-
gotta
Man,
start.
listen, Kirk good to maybe beat us once a year. That's it.
I'm more worried about Justin Fields than Kirk Cousins, dude. The guy,
I'm not worried about Justin for the simple fact I think the Bears they kind of sabotage. It's like this new regime trying to sabotage him.
I said
Honestly,
Kirk Cousins
not
is
his
a
guy.
bum. I can't stand him. I couldn't stand him in Michigan State. I can't stand him.
Yeah,
I don't like Kirk Cousins at all. I don't. So he keeps getting paid, and I think he's the most overrated quarterback probably in the league.
Yeah,
He's getting paid. But what? You ain't won one playoff game. I take golf over him. I do. I would.
I don't know.
I
about
would.
that.
Well, I think
would.
that Jared. Listen, I think Jared Goff is going to be a little bit better. I know it's all way off topic, but I think he's going to be a little bit better than last year. You know what I'm saying? Just for the simple fact of year.
I do too.
Same system.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, he got Monron St. Brown.
Hey,
He's
a badass. He's a badass.
Yeah, yup. I like
Well, I
it
think
too.
the receiver room is healthy.
And Walt, we actually got a running back situation. Good offensive line. I think Goff's gonna be better. I ain't saying he's gonna lead us to the Super Bowl or nothing. I'm just saying I just think he's gonna be better than last year. You know,
That running back situation is kind of up in the air too because hey, this regime they didn't draft Swift. There's no, I personally don't think they're gonna pay him unless Swift goes out and has like a real big monster year. I can't see giving him the money that him and his agent may think he's going to bring in because he's a running back.
Hey, well, what about TJ?
Huh?
What about TJ?
Hawkinson.
Oh, go ahead, Ward. I saw your post the other day about TJ. Go ahead.
I can't listen.
Go ahead.
There's this perception. I don't know where it came from around the league, but there's this perception that TJ Hawkinson is a great young up and coming tight end. Now, where this perception came from, I'm not sure.
He went to Iowa, right? Is
Yeah.
that where he went to school? Is it coming from Iowa? Because he was good there.
Well, Noah Fant also came from Iowa.
And George Kittle.
Hey, I like Noah Fant.
And Kittle.
But we discussed the perception. The perception around the league and around the world is that the football world is that Noah Fant was a complete bust in Denver.
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, that is the perception, though. That is the perception.
Yeah.
And I just think
He was hurt a lot.
Yeah,
he
made some plays.
He wasn't hurt more than TJ. He played seven more career games over the past 3 years than TJ.
Yeah, but think about the quarterback situation in Denver.
But he put up better numbers.
Not that Detroit was any better, but still.
No, Stafford's better than Drew Lock. Now we can't argue that.
Yeah,
we can't argue that. Yeah, but considering everything is about the going rate now. The NFL in the 90s used to be early 2000s more about did you earn that pay at that position. Now it's like, hey, look, I've been in the league 3 years. I'm up for a deal. Pay me.
Debo.
Whether I played great or not,
AJ,
just pay me.
Terry McLaurin. I mean, you're thinking 3 names right off the top of my head that because
Terry deserves it though. Terry's serious.
Yeah, but with everything going on, like they see the money and they're like, well, shit, I want to make that amount of money. I'm that good. I want to.
Christian Kirk. You said it earlier. Christian Kirk.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. But I don't know. I wouldn't pay that guy that much.
But I'm asking you 3 guys this. Would you make TJ Hawkinson in another year the 3rd or 4th highest paid tight end in football?
No.
With this team?
No.
Whoo!
To me, he seems more like a luxury for another team, a team who maybe feel like they're right on the cusp of being there.
I told you that the other day, Ward. I told you the other day. I was like, it depends on what they do with Goff. It depends. Because he's the headache of that salary cap. He gets 30-something million. Yeah, and you get rid of him and see if they draft a quarterback or they sell that quarterback differences, whatever. They drafted maybe Malik Willis this year. Or maybe go up next year and get Stroud or Bryce Young. Maybe you keep TJ Hawkinson. Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. It depends on what they do with Goff. I think his not his ceiling, but his stay in Detroit, it depends on what they do with Goff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Super point. if you was to ask me, Walt, I would say I would pay the guy, man. And trust me, I like everything Romello just said. Right now, you need a linchpin on this. They got it all in place, man. They're doing it right. Actually, the Lions is actually doing this thing right with the offensive line. Don't pay the running back, like you said. If you asking me, am I going to pay DeAndre Swift or I'm going to pay T.J. Hockenson? I got to choose one. Give me Hockenson. You can get another running back. You know what I'm saying? Much as I like him,
tight end.
Yeah, but it ain't that easy though.
It is that easy. Well, I'm gonna say this, especially if there's somebody. Look how devalued the tight end position has become. The number 1 rated tight end in this class may not get drafted till early second round, a mid-second round. So if you telling me I could get the number 1 tight end at the draft at pick number 66, I think that's a consideration, especially for a regime that didn't draft Hockenson. Let's say Hockenson goes out, he's hurt again this season. He only plays, he misses 4, 5, 6 games.
Yeah, then I wouldn't pay him. He'd have to have a Pro Bowl season for me to,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
This is a pivotal year for Hockenson, though.
Travis Kelce type numbers. You know what I'm saying? Well, just average ain't gonna cut it for me. I mean, he got to separate himself to be top tight end in the league. You know what I mean? To command that.
I agree.
I
agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, fellas. Until next time, stand up and stand out. Peace.
Peace.